Flygirl by Sherri Smith, Chapter 9. Would you look at this place? The girl named Jennings gasps as we enter our sides of the barrack. She sticks her head in the bathroom door at the center of the middle wall. 2 mirrors and 2 showers for 12 women? No wonder they say war is hell. Seeing the close quarters, I thank my lucky stars I brought a new shower cap with me. The last thing I need is an audience of 11 catching me with my hair kinking up from the steam. It looks like I'll be wearing braids most days. Jennings leads the way into the bunk room. Whitewashed cinder block walls with 1 window at either end greet me. It's not pretty, but everything on this trip is still something to write home about. Jolene would hate the decor, but it certainly looks easy to clean. Home, sweet home, Patsy Cake says, dropping her sheets and her suitcase on the last bed in the room, just beneath the far window. The 6 cots lined up remind me of a hospital room, except for the narrow metal lockers at the foot of each bed. Everything we own is supposed to fit in here, someone asks. Nobody answers. I drop my little suitcase by one of the beds. I didn't bring much to begin with, but Lovenstein's going to need a team of muscle-bound men to help her with those trunks. I take the bed next to Patsy because I'm standing in front of it, and Lovenstein takes the bed to my right. Howdy, folks, Patsy says, turning to face us. I'm Patsy Cake. You can call me Patsy or Cakewalk, whichever you like. Cakewalk? That's a funny name, Lovenstein says. What does it mean? Lovenstein has the most beautiful auburn hair I've ever seen, 2 shades darker than sunset. It sits in soft waves about her shoulders. Her voice is like women in the movies. It sounds rich. Patsy Cake talks like a barmaid in comparison. It means I'm a wing walker in a barnstorming act, she says. But I can fly, too. With this war and the gas rationing, air shows are all washed up. So I'm here to be a wasp. I'm going to learn how the big boys do it. A wing walker? Isn't that interesting, Lovenstein says. And dangerous, too. Oh, I'm Lily Lowenstein. She shakes Patsy's hand, then turns to me. Hello. Hi, I'm, Ida Mae Jones. I introduced myself. Lily's handshake is friendly, but she must be as nervous as I am. Her hands are ice cold and 3 shades lighter than mine. I'm Spanish, I blurt out. Grandy's lie for no reason. On my mother's side. Oh, Spain's wonderful, Lily exclaims. I've never been. I could kick myself. This girl doesn't suspect me. I shouldn't have jumped the gun like that. Jonesy and I have already met, Patsy says. Down the row of cots, the other girls are making their own introductions. I turn to Patsy and try to change the subject before I say something else stupid. Wing walking, you say? I saw a wing walker once at the county fair. It looked pretty scary, even if you like to fly. Nah, it's easy. I was practically weaned on an airplane wing. They make you wear a chute, so it's perfectly safe, but the crowd loves to see a pretty girl risking her neck for $1. I do acrobatics, too, with and without a safety rope. More thrills for your bills that way. Cartwheels and such. Whoopsie. I pushed the button too many times, guys. Sorry. Patsy Cake is a fire engine of a girl. I'm guessing she's only a couple years older than me, 23 at most. And she sounds like she's already seen the whole world. I feel my country roots showing, but at least it's only that. What about you, Lowenstein? What's your deal? Patsy asks. Oh, I don't know, she says. She blushes at the sudden attention. A tiny sprinkling of freckles stands out against her flushed skin. Well, my fiancé enlisted as a doctor, but he's also a pilot. He taught me how to fly when we were dating. And now that she's been shipped overseas, well, I couldn't just sit home and do nothing. Nobody says anything. We all understand. You can only watch so many newsreels before it drives you crazy. What about you, Jonesy? What's your story? I'm starting to like the nickname. Not much of a story, I'm afraid. Everybody has a story, and it's always a doozy. Come on, we're all friends here. Or at least we will be by the time all of this is over. She waves her hand to include the barracks, WASP training, the war. I bet I'll know your favorite brand of toothpaste inside a week, so we might as well just hear the rest of it. I'm just a farm girl. We grow berries down in Louisiana. I got my start on my daddy's crop duster, I add, glad to be able to tell the truth. Why are you here? I blink. Well, to fly. Patsy laughs, and so does Lily. I find myself laughing with them. When all is said and done, war or no war, patriots or not, it looks like every single girl on this base would drive 1,000 miles to nowhere just for the chance to fly. 2 cots over, closest to the door, the blonde who answered to Howard nudges the girl settling into the next bunk. There goes the neighborhood, she says, loud enough for us to hear. The other girl, Laidlaw, I think, smiles politely and finishes making her bed. Howard catches my eyes and won't let go. Carnies and Hicks and Jews. Oh my, she smirks, imitating Dorothy's little chant from The Wizard of Oz. We've all seen the movie. No one else laughs, and I ignore the jab. I've met plenty like her before. Lily must have too, because she smiles at me a little weakly and starts fussing with her suitcase. Patsy, on the other hand, crosses the floorboards in 3 quick strides. And what have we here? Howard, wasn't it? The girl blanches almost as pale as her hair. She's a strawberry blonde with dramatic red lipstick and blue eyeshadow. She probably thinks she looks like Betty Davis. I think it makes her look a little like Fiffinella. Nancy Howard, she says, trying not to stammer. She stands up, a little too late to hold her ground. Patsy towers over her. Nancy Howard, Patsy says the name like she's biting it in 2. I find myself rising to stand at Patsy's elbow. A second later, Lily is next to me. Pleased to meet you, Nancy. Patsy holds out her hand. It's the strangest showdown I've ever seen. Polite on the surface, but like a snake bite underneath. Nancy actually gulps and looks around. Laidlaw watches from the far side of the bed. No one goes to stand next to Nancy. Patsy's hand is still thrust in front of her. Gingerly, Nancy takes it. Her handshake looks like one of those soft fingertip shakes that the debutantes use in New Orleans, like holding on to a wet sock. Patsy shakes back, but she shakes like a man, swallowing Nancy's little hand whole. Nancy winces and laughs nervously. Just a joke, she says, pulling her hand away. I'm sure we'll all be great friends, right? She looks around with a wildly cheerful smile, then skitters back to her bed against the wall. Laidlaw speaks up. I'm Mary. Pleased to meet ya. And I'm Jeanette, the girl named Jennings adds. We all smile and exchange genuine pleasantries this time. The tension all but dissipates, and we return to our side of the room. Just like that, the lines are drawn. These 2 are my new best friends. Like dogs in a kennel, I mutter. Lily giggles a little nervously, and Patsy snorts. You've got that right, sister. And every one of them female. Well, we'd better get these beds made, Patsy continues. We all need our beauty sleep. I snap my sheets into the air and let them float down over the mattress. Grandy always liked a crisply made bed, and I'm glad that it looks almost, if not quite, military when it's done. Patsy finishes her bed when I do, but Lily is a different story. How the heck are you supposed to do this? She cries into her sheets. She looks like a ghost covered in linens and none of them on the bed. Just toss it over the mattress, I say. Haven't you ever made a bed before? Patsy asks. Lily falls forward onto the bed, a sheet outstretched across her front. In case you couldn't guess, no, I haven't. Greta usually makes my bed. She's our housekeeper, and I asked her to show me how once, but she refused. She said a proper lady didn't have to make her own bed. More likely she was afraid she'd lose her job if you knew how easy it was, I say. Here, separate your sheets. This is the top. This is the bottom. Just toss it out lightly like this. I stand at the foot of the bed and snap the sheet out, and it floats down like a blanket of snow. You make it look so easy, Lily blushes. I'm useless. Don't be so hard on yourself, honey. Patsy puts an arm around her shoulders. If military life was easy, everybody would do it, I add. Lily laughs, even though she looks like she's about to cry. Besides, I say, I'm practically a professional. I shake my head. Lily's the kind of girl I'd be cleaning up after back in New Orleans, but now she's giving me a hug for the same kind of work that I usually get paid a dime for. If only Jolene could see me now. Thank you so much, Lily says. Here, I know I can do the top sheet if you let me. Give it a go. Tomorrow we'll teach you how to dust and do the wash. Patsy and I laugh, but Lily takes us seriously. Do you think you could? Won't training take up all our time? I should hope so, sister, Patsy says. Why would you want to learn and dust when you can fly, I ask her. Oh, girls, you know we won't be in the army forever. And when this war is over, Harry and I are getting married. Shouldn't a wife know how to cook and clean for her husband? I never said anything about cooking, Patsy says, turning away in mock disgust. Well, Mother's never taught me a thing about keeping house, but you seem to know what you're doing. Ida here can probably even handle an iron. Isn't that right, Ida? What if I scorch his shirts? Oh, brother, Patsy exclaims. I sit down on my own bed, suddenly tired. The image of Jolene and me up to our elbows in Otis Wilson's dirty socks is hard to swallow. Lily's right. This war won't last forever, I say. I'm just hoping that the wasp will. Amen, Patsy says. Lily looks at both of us, a little puzzled, and pulls the sheets tighter on her bed. Harry will love this, she says at last, and pulls a brownie camera out of her purse to take a picture of the first bed she's ever made. Reveille is at 6 a.m. and a bugle plays over the bass loudspeakers, crackling the morning silence. I wake up with my eyes sore and dry from the hot Texas air. But still, I'm up and halfway to the showers before my eyes are even all the way open. Growing up with 2 brothers in one bathroom, I know sharing 2 showers with 11 women isn't going to be a picnic. I'm the second person in line behind Lily Lowenstein. Oh, it's hard to get up early, she tells me over the hiss of the water, but it's worth it for all the hot water. I love long showers and baths. I smile in spite of myself. Breakfast is in 25 minutes. A short shower will have to do. Lily sticks her head out of the shower stall. Her eyes have gone round. Oh, of course, you're right. I'd better hurry. I tuck my hair into my shower cap and jump in as soon as she's done. We don't even cut off the water. It's like an assembly line, the ones you see Rosie the Riveter working on in all the war ads. The thought makes me laugh. 15 minutes, someone shouts into the bathroom. I drop my soap, trying to move so fast. I come out of the shower with my robe already on and race barefoot to my footlocker. The clothes they've given us will make us look like we're in a chain gang. Giant overalls with long sleeves that drag even on the tallest of the girls. We call them zoot suits, the supply officer who handed them out to us explained yesterday. You'll see why. It isn't until this morning, pulling the darn thing on, that I get it. Zoot suits. Those baggy, wide-legged, tight-ankled outfits all of the hepcats wear in the movies and in some of the dance halls downtown in New Orleans have nothing on my new jumpsuit. Real zoot suits are all about being oversized, but at least they don't drag the ground. I look at the label inside the collar. It's too big even for Thomas, and the Army says they're one size fits all. I shrug and roll up the legs and sleeves, glad to know that my brothers aren't here to laugh at me. Lord only knows what Mama would say. A belt might keep the crotch above my knees, but it's clear I'm not winning any beauty contest in this get-up. Charming, aren't they? Patsy says to me. Patsy's at least 4 inches taller than my 5'5". Somehow she makes the rolled sleeves look smart and the cuffs are cute inside of utilitarian. I frown and shrug. If they'll stick me in a plane in this thing, I'll wear it, I tell her, but I hope nobody's taking pictures. Patsy laughs and helps adjust my cuffs. Just then, a woman walks in, ash blonde and tanned, and she winks at us with green eyes. Morning, girls. I'm your senior squadron leader. I'm just dropping by to say hello. After breakfast, have your group meet me outside of the barracks. I'll be talking to the entire class. Sure thing, Patsy tells her, and I nod silently. Senior squadron leader. I shake my head. Haven't you heard? Patsy asks. You're in the Army now. We smile at each other and head off to the mess hall. Lily, practically draped in her zoot suit, follows us, 1 foot barely in each shoe. After a breakfast of scrambled egg and oatmeal, we line up outside of the mess hall. Patsy, Lily, and I stick together automatically. It reminds me of the first day of school. The ash blonde upperclassman is already there waiting. Listen up, girls. My name is Audrey Hill. I'm part of Class 43W6, and you'll be known as 44W3. With any luck, we'll all graduate before the end of the year. But now I'm going to need you to divide into 2 groups, which we call flights. So, anybody with a last name starting with A through L, move to the left. M through Z, over to the right. She waves her hands and the cluster of girls parts like the Red Sea. Lily, Patsy, and I stay to the left, and we split up. Approximately 50 girls on either side. Audrey counts us up and makes a note on her clipboard, moving her lips and pointing at each girl as she goes. Fine then. A through L's. You'll be Flight 1, and the others will be Flight 2. Now, I want you all to pick a squadron commander, someone good at organization. She'll be in charge of the paperwork and administrative duties for the flight. Then each flight should pick a lieutenant who will be responsible for getting you into formation after breakfast and marching you properly from class to class. Keep in mind, this is the military, even if we are civilians. We're expected to march and salute just like the rest of the Army. She smiles mischievously. You'll learn to love it, girls. We've made it fun. I'll bet they have, Patsy says with a smirk. Patsy, I nominate you for squadron commander, Lily says brightly. You've got stage, or, I guess, wing experience, and you're tall, so people will notice you. Oh, no, sister. I'm not leadership material, Patsy says, putting a defensive hand in the air. I'm just here to fly. Then you do it, Red, another girl says to Lily. Lily blushes instantly, living up to the nickname originally aimed at her auburn hair. Oh, I couldn't possibly. I bet you could, I chime in. Think of how proud Harry would be. Lily beams in spite of herself. All right, I'll do it. That is, if nobody has any objections. Anybody got a problem with Lovenstein doing the paperwork? Patsy asks. Not at all, somebody says. If I wanted to be a secretary, I'd have stayed at home. Lily flushes. Is it really just secretarial work, she asks Audrey. No, dear, it's an important position. And just the fact that you've stepped up to the plate when these other ladies think they're too good for the job means that you've got a better shot at becoming a WASP than any of them. Lily beams all over again. Did you hear that? I've got a shot. I'll be flight lieutenant, I say quickly. Anything to give me a leg up is a good thing. I wish I'd thought of it sooner. Fine, Audrey says. On the other flight? A girl named Janet Raines takes the other position. Patsy smiles at me, apparently satisfied at dodging the leadership bullet. Well then, lieutenants, gather your girls into line, marching 2 abreast, and I'll show you around. Janet and I step forward next to Audrey. What do we do? I ask softly, so the others won't hear. Oh, just say, attention, and they should all fall into place. Do they know that? Janet asks. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Audrey shakes her head at us. Ladies, when they say attention, line up like I asked. Attention! I shout as loud as I can. Lily jumps, startled. Patsy fights to keep from laughing, but it works, and my flight lines up. 2 women abreast, 24 rows deep. Janet follows suit, and soon we look like the real thing, lined up and ready to march. Come on, girls. I'll teach you a few of the camp songs along the way, Audrey says. She turns on her heel and heads off toward the base yard. Forward march, I say, remembering the line from a movie. It works as well as attention did, and we tramp after Audrey in the yellow Texas dust. Sing after me, Audrey calls out. Once we wore scanties, now we're in zoots. They are our issue GI flying suits. They come in all sizes, large, and large. We look like a great big barge. We're also laughing at the song when we pass the hangars and come to the low building where classes will be held. In addition to the classrooms, the pilot ready room is here. That's where you'll suit up and wait your turn to fly. I break into a grin. It's the first time anybody's actually said we're going to fly, I whisper to Patsy. Don't pinch me, I don't want to wake up. No kidding, Patsy agrees. We follow Lily and the rest of the flight behind Audrey, across the yard to the actual landing field. The field itself reminds me of Airline Highway in Slidell, 50 miles of straight, unbending pavement. But inside of pickup trucks and fruit wagons, Avenger Field is dotted with airplanes, primary trainers, advanced trainers, open and closed cockpit. I stop in my tracks, watching as girls like me take off and land. My chest feels so full I think I'm going to explode. I want to run down the middle of that airfield and jump right into the air myself. Hill, what are you bringing out of my tarmac? A man's voice asks. There's that Texas twang, so different from my own slow New Orleans brog. I put my eyes off the runway long enough to see who interrupted our voyeuristic bliss. Ladies, I'd like you to meet Sergeant Middleton. He's the head engineer who works on all of our planes. Middleton gives us a dubious once-over. He's youngish, probably not even 30, but the way he squints at us, and with his short cropped strawberry blonde hair making him look almost bald, from a distance I'd have probably guessed he was a lot older. He reminds me of that cartoon fellow Popeye, but in an army uniform instead of a tailor's suit. 44W3, he says with as much doubt as his hard squint implies. He shakes his head, and I half expect him to spit. He looked so disappointed. Well, just keep them off my airfield until they're properly suited and trained. I don't want to see none of you out here without an instructor, he says, pointing a thick finger. This ain't no beauty parlor, and it ain't no movies either. So quit gawking. You'll get your turn soon enough. He shakes his head again and runs a hand over his crew cut. Ma'am, he nods towards Audrey and shuffles off towards the hangars. Audrey smiles and shrugs. Dang fine engineer. Not much for the niceties. It's best to stay on his good side, though, ladies. He keeps us up in the air. Our lives depend on Sergeant Middleton. Aye, aye, Lily says with a sharp salute. Aye, aye is the Navy, I whisper from behind. Oh, cripes. She lowers her hand quickly. Audrey Hill just smiles and continues the tour. Just a few more things. When you fly, or any time you are near the planes, you'll have to wear those turbans they gave you with your flight suits. You know, the thing that looks like a towel? Despite Sergeant Middleton's insistence that this ain't no beauty parlor, we have to keep our hair from getting caught in any machinery. We have our commanding officer, Major Urban, to thank for that, so we call them Urban's Turbans. Kind of catchy, huh? Most of the girls laugh, but a few sigh and primp their perfectly coiffed tresses. I, for one, would much rather slap my hair into braids and stick them in a towel than have to worry about it getting too kinky. Thank you, Major Urban, I think. So that's about it. You'll figure out the rest as you go along. Once again, as your squadron leader, if you have any questions, just come to me. I'm over in Barracks 7. Audrey leads us back to our barracks. At 1300 hours, you should all report to the medical unit. Doc Monserrat needs to perform a complete physical workup for each of you and to get your dental records in order in case they're needed for identification later. Identification? One of the girls asks. Yes, identification. There's a moment of confused silence, and Patsy scowls at the girl. In case we get burned up in a crash, they'll know you by your overbite. The girl's eyes go round as moons. Oh. Audrey frowns at Patsy, who smiles back pleasantly. Patsy, I whisper, more than a little shocked myself. Patsy just shrugs. Audrey smiles at the poor girl. Don't worry, honey. We hardly ever need them. Hardly ever. With that, she salutes and walks away. That didn't sound enough like never to me, Patsy says and winks. It's my turn to shrug. We'll worry about it when we have to, but now I'm going to go get 5 more minutes of shut-eye before we have to go see that doctor. Hear, hear, Patsy yawns. Getting up at dawn wouldn't be so bad if it meant we were flying, but today's a bust. Fact is, I need the time to try and relax. In the South, folks think skin color shows up in the blood. If that's true, Dr. Monserrat will have me on the next bus out of town. My big brother Thomas swore to me after his first year of medical school that it wasn't true. Skin color is only in the skin, he said. I believe him. But today's physical had better prove him right. I don't know if they can tell the difference between Spanish and Negro when it comes to blood tests, so Grandy's advice might not work. The day goes from best to worst, but not in any way I feared. By the time the Dr. Monserrat is done with us, we've been poked and prodded with so many different needles and vaccines I feel as a sick porcupine. But I passed the test in more ways than one. Good old Thomas really is learning something in medical school. At last it's supper time, and I don't think I can keep anything down. But I know I won't get another chance until morning. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, I say the minute we walk into the mess hall. Most of the other classes are already there. Women sitting on one side of the room, male officers and instructors on the other. But it's not the people that stop me in my tracks. It's the food on the first plate in front of me. A man is sitting there eating a steak, casual as day, and a baked potato heaped with pure, sweet, pale creamery butter. Pinch me, Patsy. I haven't seen butter in 8 months. Patsy slaps me right on the arm lightly. What? Don't you have cows on that farm of yours? It's a berry farm. No. We've got all the jams and jellies you can eat, but not a single stick of real butter. Lily remains conspicuously silent for a whole half a minute. Okay. We had butter at my parents' place in the Adirondacks. The caretakers brought in a cow especially for us to have butter, milk, and cheese. Well, for those of us born without a silver butter knife in our mouths, make way, Patsy says, and shoves herself through the food line. It's like some kind of Hansel and Gretel fairy tale in here. Nothing at breakfast prepared me for this sort of spread. Steak, real sugar, even ice cream. And not a ration stamp in sight. If Mama and Jolene had known what the food was like, they might have signed up too. I find my appetite quickly enough when it comes to dessert. And I go to bed that night happier than I've been in a long time, with a stomach full of food and my head full of tomorrow's first flight.